So, Alex, there are a lot of threats in Trump's latest tweet. The president, in his words, saying the tariffs will permanently shut down car manufacturing in Canada. He also said the U.S. can't keep helping Canada pay for national security, that their only move is, as Brian mentioned, to become our 51st state. But if the goal is to save money, first of all, they are our biggest trading partner, and direct aid in 2023 was a grand total of $7.5 million, most of it for environmental projects. So is there some big economic benefit to this that people are missing?
Not one that I can think of. When you think about our trade with Canada, you're thinking about things like oil, energy, electricity, lumber, and automobiles. For those big ticket items that consumers are going to want to buy, a car and a house, jacking up tariffs on Canadian lumber and Canadian autos are only going to increase the cost of the goods that consumers are buying. Tariffs are an economic tool, just like a tax or a regulation. They can be applied smartly. They can be applied in a haphazard and chaotic way. And I think what you're seeing right now, the market reaction to Trump's announcements, is a market that doesn't know what to do or what the goals are of Trump's tariffs. If they are to increase manufacturing in the United States, that's not going to do it. Inputs from Canada go into a number of manufactured products, automobiles being the big one. You're seeing the steelworkers, the United Steelworkers here in the U.S., and the machinists, people who are normally supportive of tariffs on foreign competitors, decry these tariffs as things that are going to increase costs for manufacturers and increase costs for consumers at the end of the day.
So, Tara, I want to play some of the president's promises that he made again and again on the campaign trail.
If I win, you are 3 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, the brightest economic future that the world has ever seen.
My plan will rapidly defeat inflation, quickly bring down prices, and reignite explosive economic growth.
So I'll deliver the biggest economic boom in American history. It's going to be the biggest.
And then again, we didn't hear from him yesterday. He didn't come before camera, but his focus seemed to be on Elon Musk. He wanted to help the guy out by buying a Tesla because the stock took a hit. I mean, is there a point, Tara, at which you think what seems to be a disconnect between where Donald Trump is living and the average American is living catch up to him?
Well, I think we're starting to see that in the polling right now. Even in places like upstate New York, where a lot of folks voted for Donald Trump, they're saying, well, we still support him, but we don't support these tariffs. We don't support attacking our friend Canada. We're not so sure about this because as this chaos, as these really insane economic policies start to take effect, people are going to realize how this impacts their everyday lives, and that includes MAGA, the people who voted for Donald Trump. I would challenge every Republican at this point to explain how any of what Donald Trump has done in his 51 days in office has helped improve the lives of Americans. In fact, it's been quite the opposite. And in fact, when you look at what the stock market is doing, the stock market is a direct response to the absolute chaos and incompetence of Donald Trump's decision-making here. He's been flip-flopping back and forth. He is doing tariffs. He's not doing tariffs. It's good. It's not going to be good, but you're going to be okay. I mean, it's Orwellian-level newspeak here that's trying to convince the American people that what they're doing is actually good for you. It's not. Tell that to the hundreds of thousands of people whose livelihoods have been swept out from under them because Elon Musk is cutting their jobs indiscriminately, including of our veterans. Like this is not good for America. Egg prices are up. Inflation is not going down. Unemployment is about to go up. This is hurting everyday Americans, from our farmers to our labor unions, to our car manufacturers, to the local diner waitress who isn't getting the same flow of traffic in their restaurants because people have lost their jobs and don't have money to go out to eat. Like, this cascading effect is not a joke. And Donald Trump is sitting on Truth Social tweeting or whatever it's called 100 times in 6 hours. And what is he doing? He's supporting his biggest benefactor, his donor, #1 donor, Elon Musk. There's something wrong with this. And I hope that Democrats understand how to message this to the American people, that Donald Trump is not looking out for you. He's looking out for them, his billionaire benefactors.
Let me go to the White House, which is where Vaughn Hilliard is covering it for us. Vaughn, beyond the economics, and that's huge, right? President Trump, when he first talked about Canada becoming the 51st state, people were chuckling. They thought maybe it was a joke. He's not backing down on this.
No, and I think we should be very clear. Ever since winning the presidency, we have never heard the words come out of the President of the United States' mouth that he does not want to acquire and take over Canada. Instead, the 51st state rhetoric has become effectively policy. The President of the United States has suggested a new era of American imperialism, not just Canada, but Greenland, the Panama Canal. And when you're talking about Canada specifically, the actions he has thus far taken have been attempts to weaken the Canadian economy and been justified by multiple fronts by the president. In his words, he is suggesting that Canada needs to do more to combat illegal immigration and fentanyl coming into the United States. He's justified it on the idea that the U.S. has been taken advantage of by tariffs that have been placed on the United States by Canada, and that Canada doesn't take in enough of the U.S. dairy market. We have heard a great many justifications by the president to continue to harm the Canadian economy and press them to the brink of what we have seen over the last 24 hours as being Canadian officials taking on headstrong the idea that the American government has, and each of them have insisted it's not the American people, but the American government have made this a tit-for-tat situation that has imperiled their own economy, and they have no choice but to risk going into a recession themselves by implementing their own retaliatory tariffs as a means of standing up and fighting back against President Trump and his White House.
All right, can we take a look at the market boards once again as we're waiting for the White House briefing to start, because they continue to take a hit, down now 653 points. Brian, the White House is blaming not Trump, they're blaming animal spirits for the market drop, insisting this is essentially, right, emotional, irrational. Explain what they believe or what their at least explanation is.
Yeah, and it might be worth explaining what animal spirits are. That's usually a term that's used to refer to emotional investing, that the reason for why a certain stock or the stock market at large will go up or down is because of an irrational reading of what's going on. Again, that's the way that at least the White House was trying to frame it by issuing that statement, again, from a White House official, saying it's animal spirits that are leading to some of these market jitters, and also adding that, look, what we're actually seeing unfold, this is the verbatim from the White House official, what we're actually seeing unfold from businesses and business leaders, and is kind of like suggesting that the investments that we've heard, these announcements from the likes of SoftBank and OpenAI and Apple investing hundreds of billions of dollars in the United States, will lead to longer term, maybe even medium term economic gains. And that's underscored by the fact that National Economic Council advisor Kevin Hassett was saying on TV yesterday that, yeah, we might get a quarter of bit of a hit to economic growth, but that the quarter after that would see a bounce back. And I do think that that is an optimistic timeline, and a lot of economists and business types will tell you that it's not necessarily the case that you will see reshoring happen in the course of 6 months, that you would see automakers in the United States manage to successfully move a plant from, say, Ontario that assembles vehicles and then put it somewhere in Detroit, Michigan within the window of 6 months. Those types of things could take years, could take longer than even a single presidential cycle. So this is kind of part of the conversation from even last week when we heard from the president in his address to the joint session that there will be this little inconvenience. There will be kind of this temporary hit to economic activity that would be worth the investment of all that investment later on down the line. Again, whether or not that 6-month timeline is too optimistic remains to be seen. But here on Wall Street, you can see it on the boards ahead of you. The Dow Jones down 1.6%. Certainly, there's that concern that the short-term hit will be something substantial and felt.
So let's go back to the big picture, because, Alex, I mentioned Elon Musk, and he was on Larry Kudlow on Fox last night on Fox Business, and he talked about his plans going forward. Here's a little bit of that.
The goal here is let's not have America go bankrupt with waste and fraud. So the waste and fraud in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $600-700 billion a year.
So let's be clear. Let's fact check here. Social Security's own Inspector General said last year there was roughly $72 billion spent on improper payments between 2015 and 2022. So over 7 years, Musk wants to cut 10 times that. He keeps pushing the idea, for example, that dead people are getting all these checks. The acting commissioner says that's not true, and he's never shown any proof that any of that stuff that he talks about is true. Where does this lead us?
Look, I think it leads us to the ultimate goal here of Doge, Elon Musk, and Republicans in Congress, which is to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. You see the budget resolution that they're working with in Congress. It's impossible to get the savings that Elon Musk is claiming without deep, deep cuts to the entitlements that people care about and people rely on. And you're seeing that in service of a tax cut that is going to go overwhelmingly to the wealthiest and well-connected, exactly like Elon Musk and his billionaire donors.